What if the way your mind works isn't a flaw? It's a sign you're wired differently than most people. Psychologists have identified a specific set of mental patterns that show up again and again in people who think, feel, and process the world on a different frequency. If even three of these sound familiar, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand your own mind in a way you never have before. Every brain runs on the same basic hardware, but not every brain runs the same software. Some minds are tuned for speed, some for depth, some for pattern recognition. Most people don't even notice. Researchers studying cognition, intelligence, and sensitivity have found that certain traits cluster together in people whose minds simply process reality more intensely. We've gathered 8 of the most well-documented signs. Sign 1 is where it starts. Sign 1, you replay conversations for hours, sometimes days, after they happen. You analyze a throwaway comment from a coworker until it becomes a whole investigation. To other people, this looks like overthinking, but underneath it is something else entirely. A mind that refuses to let information go until it's been fully processed. Neuroscience calls this cognitive rumination, and studies on highly intelligent individuals show it's linked to heightened activity in the default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for self-reflection and meaning-making. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's running a deeper analysis loop than most people's, constantly searching for patterns, motives, and implications other minds skip right past. Sign 2. You cry more easily than people around you. At a kind moment, a piece of music, even an ad. Maybe you've been told you're too sensitive. But research on emotional processing tells a very different story about what's actually happening inside your mind. Psychologists describe this as high emotional permeability. Your mirror neuron system and limbic responses are simply more reactive. A 2023 review on highly sensitive people found they process emotional and sensory information more deeply at a neurological level, not just a behavioral one. That intensity isn't weakness. It's your nervous system registering more of the world than the average person's does. Sign 3. You notice the tiny things. A friend's tone shifts slightly, and you clock it instantly. Someone rearranges furniture, and you see it the second you walk in. Most people move through rooms and conversations on autopilot. You don't. This is tied to what researchers call low latent inhibition, a reduced ability to filter out seemingly irrelevant stimuli. Most brains automatically tune out details that don't seem immediately useful. Brains with low latent inhibition let more of that information through. Combined with high intelligence, this trait is strongly associated with heightened creativity, because noticing more raw material gives your mind more to connect. Sign 4. Small talk drains you, but a real conversation about ideas, meaning, fears, the future, can energize you for hours. You'd rather have one 2-hour conversation that actually goes somewhere than 10 short ones that go nowhere. Studies on cognitive complexity show that people who score higher on measures of intellectual engagement experience small talk as genuinely understimulating. Their prefrontal cortex craves higher information density. It's not snobbery. It's that surface-level exchanges simply don't give a deep processing mind enough to work with, while substantive conversation lights up the exact reward circuits that make it feel worthwhile. Sign 5. Unfairness genuinely bothers you, even when it has nothing to do with you. You'll feel a flash of anger watching a stranger get treated badly, or replay an old injustice from years ago like it just happened. This connects to what's called hyper-empathy, combined with strong moral reasoning. Brain imaging studies show that people with this trait show increased activation in the anterior insular and anterior cingulate cortex when witnessing unfairness. The same regions activated when we experience pain ourselves. Essentially, your brain doesn't fully distinguish between an injustice happening to you and one happening to someone else. Sign 6. After socializing, even with people you love, you need real time alone to feel like yourself again. It's not that you dislike people, it's that your mind doesn't fully power down in social settings, so it needs a quiet space afterward to process everything it just absorbed. Research on introversion and cognitive load shows that for deep processors, social interaction isn't just emotionally engaging, it's informationally expensive. Every expression, tone shift, and subtext gets analyzed in real time. Alone time isn't avoidance. It's the equivalent of closing background programs so your mind can finally finish processing everything it picked up. Sign 7. You make connections between things that seem completely unrelated. A conversation reminds you of a documentary, which reminds you of something from years ago, and suddenly you've linked 3 ideas nobody else in the room even thought to compare. This is associative thinking, and it's one of the most consistent markers researchers find in highly creative and highly intelligent minds. Your brain stores information in a densely interconnected network rather than separate folders, so retrieving one memory activates a whole web of loosely related ones. It's the same mechanism behind sudden insights and aha moments. Your mind is simply better wired for unexpected connections. And sign 8, the one almost everyone with these traits relates to. Growing up, you often felt like you were observing everyone else from slightly outside the group. Not excluded exactly, just different. Like you were watching a game whose rules everyone else seemed to already know. Longitudinal studies on gifted and highly sensitive children consistently find this same theme, a sense of asynchrony, where emotional, social, and cognitive development don't move at the same pace as peers. That early feeling of being slightly out of step isn't a sign something was wrong with you. It's often one of the clearest early markers of a mind that was simply processing the world differently from the start. So let's bring it together. Overthinking, deep emotional reactions, noticing small details, craving meaningful conversation, a strong sense of justice, needing alone time, connecting unrelated ideas, and that early feeling of being an outsider. None of these are flaws to fix. They're signatures of a mind built for depth, pattern, and meaning, in a world that often moves too fast to notice any of it. If several of these described you, you're not broken, and you're not alone. You're just running a different kind of mind, and understanding it is the first step to working with it instead of against it. Subscribe to Mind Decoded. Every week we break down the psychology of the mind most people never take time to understand.